With the possible exception of the legal profession, no industry on earth is so bloated with puffery and hyperbole as the wine business. So with that in mind, we go in search of the truth. Our quest begins in Sonoma County, California, birthplace of the Reverend Kendall Jackson. From humble beginnings, the visionary known as Jess Jackson steadfastly built his dream on 3 themes: family, quality, and last but not least, the dirt, or, as I am reminded as the French and wine master Randy Ullum say, terroir. Jess knew that the grapes grown in special places with the proper light, soil, moisture, and temperature would produce world-class wines. Armed with that knowledge, Jess built his vineyards on the mountains, hillsides, ridges, and benchlands along the cool California coast. And who would not do that, ladies and gentlemen? Being the historian he is, Jackson knew that the valleys were for growing melons and the mountains were for growing grapes. Other grape growers believed this to be folly. And when they taunted him, Jackson drew upon his legal background and responded with a firm, confident, "Oh, to have witnessed such a retort is, ladies and gentlemen, the stuff of legends." Jess married co-proprietor Barbara Banke, a performance that earned him a perfect 100 points. And together they built the Kendall Jackson family of wines into a true cultural phenomenon. When Hollywood called, Kendall Jackson stepped into the spotlight, featured on prime-time shows such as The New Adventures of Old Christine, The Big Bang Theory, Till Death, Nip Tuck, and the Emmy-nominated 2.5 Men, ladies and gentlemen, A Star is Born. The world beckoned, and Kendall Jackson responded, making the international stage its own. Media titans from around the globe sent correspondents to Santa Rosa.
ケンダル・ジャクソンワインセンターに来ています。こちらではワインの楽しみ方を教えてくれるんですね、マシューさん。あれがメルローですんの、このイチゴの。する。
Которую я в прошлом году изучала на юге Франции. На семейной винодельне мне открыли другие секреты создания хорошего вина. А процесс этот, между прочим...
Now we may never know what they said, but I'm sure it was spectacular. What's new at Kendall Jackson is what's old. The family's long-standing commitment to the stewardship of the land. And while the Johnny-come-latelys profess to be going green, Kendall Jackson continues to blaze its own path, staying natural with its consumer-focused natural initiative, known as Our Natural Commitment. To elucidate on this theme is field reporter Oliver John.
Hello, I'm here at the top of the estate on Hawkeye Mountain, and as you can see behind me, nature is frolicking. Go on, frolic. Well, I'm sure they'll frolic any moment now. Right, this is all part of the Kendall-Jackson Natural Commitment, bringing attention to the myriad of sustainable farming methods and other practices that have been a cornerstone for this company for decades. Things like using red-tailed hawks for natural rodent control, introducing beneficial insects into the vineyard to eat non-beneficial insects, designing wildlife corridors so the deer, cougars, bears, and other critters can make their way to natural sources of food and water, planting 10,000 trees and growing cover crops to reduce erosion. It's all in the name of nature! And Roger, quite frankly, I've never felt so good about a bottle of wine.
I think Oliver might have misunderstood the assignment.
Right then, back to you, Roger.
Today's special guest was known for natural prowess in the kitchen. Who better to discuss magical wine and food pairings than Julia Child?
Hello, Roger. I'm here today to show your audience all the things you can do with Kendall-Jackson wine and chicken, several of which are suitable for family audiences. Now, the first thing we do is put a little spice on the bird here and get it in good. And I like to spank spice onto a bird. It's called spank spice. Spank spice. Spank spice. Just like that, and it's wonderful. Then what we can do is reach in and we sort of pound the meat. You know about pounding the meat, don't you, James? Well,
thank you, Julia.
Oh, goodness.
You are magnificent.
My, that's sort of a sound, isn't it? Bad chicken.
As many of you may know, Mr. Jackson was recently a featured guest before a group of United States congressmen. Oh, say can you see? Admitting their ignorance on the subject, Jess was in Washington to lecture the nation's lawmakers on the finer points of artisan winemaking.
We look for an Arnold Schwarzenegger's upper body, and then we look for Don Knotts' legs and knees.
Sounds absolutely scrumptious. As an aside, the senator from Modesto asked Mr. Jackson for additional materials. He was heard to say his constituents could use the information. I hope you've enjoyed our little excursion through the amazing world of Kendall-Jackson. It was truly a labor of love in search for the truth. And at this journey's end, I can say unequivocally, we have seen the truth. And his name is Jess.